Hi guys, and welcome to what I like to call Super Saturdays. As you can see, I have a Super Nintendo emulator going on right here, playing a little bit of Final Fight, old school. And what I want to do today is explain, during my live stream, I was asked if I would be getting an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, etc, etc. And I had just finished seeing Total Biscuit's overview of the Xbox One, and apparently how the Xbox One will be having region lockouts, and how it's going to quite literally lock out 20-something EU countries, simply because now it's just my belief. I don't work for Microsoft. I don't work for, you know, anyone in particular, but I believe that the reason why Microsoft is banning those consoles from being sold in those countries is a lot of cracking, hacking, and modding forums are based in those countries. And so the way Microsoft's going to deal with it is you just won't be able to get one of our consoles, is the only thing I can think of. Now, again, it's not about the gameplay, it's about what I believe. Now, people kept asking me, what will I get? Now, if the decision was up to me, I will most likely get a PlayStation 4. I was a hardcore avid Xbox player. As you guys know, yeah, I just got my ass kicked. As you guys know, I do have an Xbox 360. I have also owned the original Xbox. I still have my original Xbox, and I still play a few games on it that you can't get even on the Xbox version of the PlayStation Network. And I'm using a third-party Xbox controller, ironically, on this emulator. Well, the reason why is the fact just that they're segregating everyone. I hate to say it, but Microsoft's basically going the way of the Cadillac. If you didn't realize, Cadillacs back in the day, for a car manufacturer, weren't that pretty expensive. Believe it or not, it was actually more expensive to buy a Mercury or a Lincoln than it was a Cadillac in the 50s and 60s. Well, Cadillac then priced themselves out the market and are now a quote-unquote luxury car. Well, that's the thing. I think Xbox is trying to make themselves a luxury entertainment system. Well, if that's the case, they're going to go the same way of the ColecoVision. Basically, no one's going to buy it. I honestly feel that Microsoft has quite literally ended all debates about who's better. Sony, now everyone's going on about Sony and their whole wall, $5 a month to play. Well, listen here, Xbox fanboys, you guys have been paying more than that a month to play Xbox Live. And with the PlayStation Network, that $5 will let us get free games. Microsoft doesn't give you free games. Oh God, it's Giggles. I hated Giggles. He always used to kick my ass on the arcades. Well, oh, what the deuce? 3 punches and I'm dead? Nah, that's horse shit. Get up. Yeah. Oh, kick to the balls, huh? I see how it is. Yeah, an epic kick out of nowhere. Ooh, you got a 1-up. Yay. But I will be I'll be weighing up the pros and cons. I mean, they haven't even actually shown the consoles yet. You've just seen a an AutoCAD 3D cover of it, if you will. You've not actually seen... Ow. Oh, yeah, I'm getting my butt kicked here. You don't actually see the actual console. You know, like I said, all they show you is 3D pictures. And, well, again guys, it's not about the gameplay. This is about the question that was asked to me. So, what I'm going to do here for a second is pause the emulator. Pause. No, actually, no, I don't pause it on a black screen. I'll just reset the cartridge. Reset game. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my unbiased opinion, which is Microsoft have priced themselves out of the market. And ultimately, because they've priced themselves out of the market, they're not gonna recover from this. They're hoping that they've generated such fanboys with the Xbox 360 that they had from the Xbox One, and it's just not there. I'm sorry, but it's not there. To tell you the truth, it's just not there. Everyone's looking, oh well. Either way, a person's got to pay for the online multiplayer thing, and then was like, well, not if you're on PC. We got to do is have an internet connection. Get yourself Steam. Guess what? All the games that are majority going to be on the Xbox and on the PlayStation 4, there's going to be PC ports, and if not, there's going to be games that are equal, if not better, than those console games. See, this is what a lot of console gamers completely seem to understand, which is all games start life on a PC. Even for those destined to a console. Every game in creation, including Super Nintendo games, okay, every game in its infancy started off as an idea on a PC or a Mac or a Linux operating system or something, and eventually it gets ported over and adapted to that hardware. So this whole argument about what's better, PC, Xbox, or PS, PlayStation, it's no contest. For me, as you're watching this on a PC with a Super Nintendo emulator that's on a PC. Yes, I use a Xbox 360 controller, but I've also got PlayStation controllers. I've also got an original Super Nintendo controller that has a USB port on it. I've even got an original 8-bit Nintendo controller that has a USB port on it. So that I can just plug it right in and play on an old school NES. I've even got the original consoles. I got a Dreamcast. I got a Mega Drive. I've got a Super Nintendo. I've got an 8-bit NES. I've got a Game Gear. I've got a Game Boy. I've got a freaking Atari Lynx, for crying out loud. One day, once I get it all out of storage down in the basement and whatnot, I may do a, this is my humble bumble collection, so to say. There is even a local second-hand store that specializes in older consoles. Why? Because there's just a market for it. Whether you're a collector, whether you're a gamer, whether it's retro, whether it's not. The only way we can truly know what's going to go on between these game companies isn't through press releases, because I'm sorry, the guys that did the local press release, they're a bunch of idiots. They couldn't tell the difference between a hole in the ground and the hole in their arse. I don't bother with E3 because there's so many rumors. It's all buggy beta. You know, hell, most of it's not even beta. Most of it's alpha. The Battlefield 4 footage that they said was on the Xbox One turned out to be a PC port. Turned out to be a PC running the damn thing in the background. How can you tell? When you looked, it said press the backspace key to abseil over this obstacle. E3 showcase guys, they hire really good-looking girls in really skinny clothing and cosplay clothing and whatnot to distract you from the fact that they're lying to you. E3 is nothing but a joke. A friend of mine, he goes to E3. He went to this year's E3. He took photos of all the women and everything and stuff, and he said to me, it's no different from the E3 of last year. It was all about the Xbox, all about PlayStation, all about the, and it turned out to be a whole great big joke. And it is. Because that's ultimately what it comes down to. When it comes down to consoles, my personal preference is neither. I will get... I will rather upgrade my PC and keep playing the games that are on PC. If someone came up to me and said, would you like a free Xbox or a free PlayStation 4? I would say give me the PlayStation 4. Why? It has built-in Blu-ray. It has, no DRM. So I can go out to a friend's house, borrow a game, put it in the console and play. To see if I like it. Yeah, granted, demos are great and all, but demos, again, they're alpha, they're beta, they're buggy. And it even said, I remember on the old original PlayStation 1, when the PlayStation 1 magazine came out, when PS1 magazine came out, and you got those free demo discs, it would say to you, this game is a demo and does not reflect the overall end game, the overall game performance, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm sorry, but that's basically what you're getting when you download a demo from the PlayStation Network or from the Microsoft Network. It's a demo. I would rather get the actual game after it's released, put it in my machine and play it, and if I like it, give the copy back to my friend, go to Walmart, go to wherever, Kmart, Sand, Safeways, Asda, wherever your local gaming store is, GameStop, Game Hub, wherever, and buy a copy. Actually, not a used copy, a retail copy. Why? Because used copies, the game makers don't get no money back on. All that money goes straight to Game Hub, goes straight to GameStop, it goes straight to Fry's. It doesn't go to Nintendo, it doesn't go to Capcom, it doesn't go to Namco, it doesn't go to any of them. It goes straight into the retailer's pocket. I would rather buy a retail copy because I know there's no horrible fingerprints, the discs haven't been resurfaced, 20, 30, 40 times, and the disc's about this thin and is about to snap. And I know that if there is a fault with the disc, I can just put it in the case, bung it in an envelope, and send it off to whoever, and get another copy back with a receipt saying we apologize. Can't get that with the second-hand game. Second-hand games have no warranties. See, this is what a lot of people keep forgetting, is that games actually have warranties. If you read the booklets, now that's another rarity, games that actually have booklets like they used to with the Super Nintendo, with the Mega Drive, where the customer was the core focus. Ain't going to get that. You are not going to get that with newer consoles where everything's digital. And I understand digital's more easier, you don't have to go out, it's snowing, it's raining, it's whatever, and you really just don't want to get off your ass and go to wherever and get yourself, wait in line, get yourself a copy, and even then you may not even get a copy when you can just sit at home, type in a credit card number, they take it out your bank account and you start the download. Yeah, that's all well and great, and you don't have to deal with the risk of the CD breaking, things like that. But you now got to run the risk of the hard drive dying. Either way, it doesn't matter. When you take something from point A to point B, there is always a risk that something's going to interrupt you taking the thing from point A to point B, whether it be downloading or carrying the actual disc or hardware. It's going to break down. Shit's going to get involved. Shit's going to get ugly. Excuse me. And when it does, I hate to be the person that it happens to. Simply because, let me run a different game for you guys, because you're probably getting bored with Final Fight. There we go. Old school for you. Primal Rage. And I know some of you guys are you're like me. You're an older gamer who's grown up through the Commodore, Amiga, ZX Spectrum, RM Nimbus days, into the 8-bit Sega Nintendo war, into the 16-bit Sega Nintendo war, into the 32-bit, and into the 64-bit. Then you got the PlayStation, the Dreamcast, and yeah, been there, done that, went through it all. Bought the magazines, was subscribed, you know, got, you know, been there, done that, you know, waited in queue just to get a poster, and you know, even when you bought a game, you'd get like a coupon, or Capcom points, as Capcom used to call it. You could send off a swag, like a t-shirt, or a keychain, or a poster, or a sweatband, or whatever, you know, or even a backpack for school. You'd be the first kid in school, this cool new Capcom backpack that had like Ken and Ryu and Sagat and then Bison on it, and everyone's like, wow, what the hell, where'd you get that from? You'd be like, oh yeah, I saved up for it, you know. I bought me a couple of Capcom games, sent in the code, you know, gave them the packaging, you waited, and boom, you know, a week before school starts, you got a brand new backpack, pencils, everything, you're all cool, you know, and that's what I miss. You don't get that anymore with today's game companies. Why? Because they're all about the digital. They're all about, we don't care, just buy our game, buy our game, buy our game, buy our game, buy our game. Which is why I don't have a problem with going to torrent sites and downloading the game to play it. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not condone piracy. If I have a game that I enjoy playing, like if I've downloaded it and I enjoy playing it, I will buy it. Do not get me wrong, I will uninstall the game the day I've got the actual hard copy. For example, here you go, Knights of the Old Republic, okay? I purchased Knights of the Old Republic. Muppet me, I know. But, you see what I'm saying? I could have pirated the client. I could have just downloaded the client from the website. But I felt that I needed to buy the game because I wanted to support the company. I wanted to support the another one for you. Here you go. 300. I just recently bought me a copy of 300. Morrowind. The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind Game of the Year edition. It was on sale. It was cheap. I picked it up. Could have pirated it. Easy. I could. Right now I can even download pirated games for the 360 and the PlayStation 3, but I don't. Why? Because I don't see the point. If it's a game I'm interested in, do not get me wrong, I'll take a look at it. I'll watch YouTube videos. I'll watch Let's Plays, things like that, and I'll watch Total Biscuit, and or the Cynical Brit. And if I like what I see, I'll download it. You know, I'll buy it. If if it's on a console and not on a PC. I'll call up a friend and say, do you have this? Do you have, the new Halo? Do you have this? Oh yeah, I've got a. Do you mind if I borrow it for the night so I can see if I want to get it? And I'll be like, yeah, sure, come over. Go over, pick it up, come down, play it for a little bit. If I like it, guess what? Next day, hand him back his game. Look what I just bought. See what I'm saying? That's what it's all about for me. I remember going into school and swapping NBA Jam for Star Fox, or Street Fighter 2 for Mega Man 3, or Super Mario is not worth Legend of Zelda. It's at least worth this, that, and the other. And I remember doing that in school. After school during chess club. I'd be hanging out. Playing a couple of games of chess. I know I'm a geek. Playing a couple of games of chess. Friend would come in and is like, "Hey, dude, do you have a copy of Street Fighter?" Oh, yeah, what for? Oh, you got it for the Mega Drive. I've only got Championship Edition on the Mega Drive. You interested in a trade? Well, what you got? And we'd barter, we'd work something out. And like, yeah, let me finish this game, come to my house when we did finish the trade. Alright, cool, great, finish the game, go to my house, we'd make the trade. I'd even occasionally have them throw in action figures. I've got, let's see, I've got an original Cobra Commander, and I've even got the remake. Yes, I do collect action figures. Let's see, this is a snow trooper. Unfortunately, he's missing his helmet, among other things. I do trade for those. You know, I trade action figures. If you ever do a look on any of my walls, sorry about this for a second, you'll see that I have action figures everywhere. I collect them. I collect old school Kenner. I collect, I collect a whole bunch of different things. I have a whole variety of hobbies. Consoles even. I mean, look, went to a yard sale and I picked up me a copy of R-Type DX and a used copy of Pokemon Gold. You know, I may run copy photos on my Game Boy and or download the ROMs because it's now legal for me to own those ROMs because I own the actual hard copies, and maybe do a play on that for a retro Saturday. But I don't know, and my whole take on the whole Xbox PS4 controversy is when you break it down, it's ultimately going to be fanboy versus fanboy, and a lot of people keep going, well, what is a fanboy? A fanboy is a person whose mind is totally closed to anything what they believe. Mormonism, for example, is a fanboyism thing. I actually call Mormons fanboys. I'm like, you're just a Joseph Smith fanboy, and they're like, what? Yeah. If I said to you Judaism, you'll say, no, I don't believe in that. But anyway, that's religion. Get off the religion kick, Dan. Back to consoles. I remember when console wars were Sega does what Nintendo don't. Things, catchphrases like that kids would have on T-shirts, and it would start fights at the shopping centres or the malls, as you Americans call it, where people would be upset because a game would come out on the Mega Drive first before it does on the Super Nintendo, or the Super Nintendo with its FX chip. And Sega had to come out with their Sega 32X and their Virtua Racing, and then the Mega CD, and then I remember Nintendo planned on coming out with a CD system, and that got shit canned, which is a shame. And then you got all those pirated ones where you could copy Super Nintendo's games onto a floppy disk, and you'd have guys trading floppy disks, back and forth. Now you've got ROM carts, where manufacturers will make a cartridge and put like 30-40 ROMs on there. You put it in your original Nintendo, and you get to select on the select screen and play, those 30 games that you've got on your original hardware. And there's even companies that are remaking the original 8-bit Nintendo, the original 16-bit Super Nintendo, the original Mega Drive, the original Master System with Alex the Kid in Wonderland. Yes, see, I remember, I'm old school. One of my guys in my live stream, he asked me, what got me into gaming, and I said to him, it all started back in the day when I was playing Prince of Persia and Lemmings in school during my lunch break in the library. I would have the discs with me, and I'd install them on the computer, and the library lady, the librarian, she would uninstall them after lunch. So I figured out how to hide them in a secret partition in the hard drive, so I didn't even need the discs anymore. And so I would trade meal tickets, because in England you get meal tickets for your lunch. I would trade meal tickets for time on Prince of Persia and Lemmings and things like that, and yeah, that was fun. And I was a player before I even knew what the word pimp was. But and that's what got me started. I started off on a PC, in theory. Commodore, Amiga, ZX Spectrum. I even remember going to a car boot sale, or a yard sale as you Americans call it, and there was this big old computer monitor with a cassette player and a keyboard in one. And literally, you put the cassette in, closed it, pressed play, and it'd make this weird noise like an old dial-up modem. And you'd have to type in, /run, /this, /commands, and whatnot. And I could not remember for the life of me the name of that computer system. And I miss it. Apparently my mum still has it. It's in the attic. Apparently, my mum still has it, and it works and everything. My very first computer was a 386SX with 4 megabytes of RAM and a whopping 10 megabyte hard drive with Windows 3.1. Yeah, and those were the days. I used to play Doom and Wolfenstein and games of that nature. And I would scour PC magazines for demo discs and stuff like that. And when the shopkeeper weren't looking, I'd just, take the demo disc away and put it in a collection. And that's what I would be. I'd be a little sneaky ninja when it came to that. And it's okay, I'm not live streaming, I'm recording. So so yeah, guys, that's my answer about the if it came down to it. If someone was going to say, "Oh, I'll get you an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4," what one would you get? I'd say to them, the gamer in me would say, "Get me the PlayStation 4." Even though the Xbox One has, the better memory, the better processor, even though it's the same processor, but it's configured differently. It's got the better stats wise. I'm not a stat whore, hence that's why I like the Easy 8 Sherman in World of Tanks. But what I would do if I had a choice is I would say to him, just give me the money, I'll buy PC hardware, a couple of PC games, then donate the rest to charity. That's what I would do, and even my wife knows this. This is why she's laughing. And but when it comes down to this so-called next-gen consoles, I actually don't plan on getting any of them. If I have money in my pocket to burn, after all my bills are paid and everyone's happy, and I've got my groceries and my petrol in my car and whatnot, and my, I may look at saving up a little bit of money and maybe buying one. And it's definitely not going to be the Xbox. I'm sorry. That whole camera staring at me, yeah, I'm looking at a camera right now, but I know that I can just go click and turn that camera off, and I don't need that to live stream. I don't need that for my PC to function. But apparently, you need one of those, you need a webcam to make the Xbox function. And that right there is a big, especially since how Microsoft have openly said they do have an agreement with the with the NSA. I'm like, yeah, so the American government can just snoop on me. Going to bed? Okay. Okay. Sure. Sure thing. Sorry about that, guys. But the fact that they've openly said that they have a waiver system in place where if the American government wants to snoop on any citizen that has an Xbox One, they go, yeah, here's the MAC address, here's this, here's that. Boom, they're now looking at you as you're playing a game. So if I'm standing there giving myself a 5-knuckle shuffle, I don't want some guy looking at me giving myself a 5-knuckle shuffle on an Xbox, if you know what I mean. Not that I would do that. I'd rather do that in the comfort of my own bedroom with a nice magazine. But still, I'm a guy, I admit it, But that's one of the things that is going to be scaring off a lot of actual gamers, is the fact that they're worried that if I, modify my Xbox, like putting a fan on it or whatever, they're worried that, Xbox is going to go, oh, he's using a third-party headset, ban! Or he's using a third-party controller, ban! Well, if that's the case, then Microsoft wouldn't give out the third-party certificates. See, this is what a lot of people seem to misunderstand. In order for a controller or any peripheral to be used, like the Rock Band set, Square Helix had to pay Microsoft money for each guitar, each drum, each microphone to be made, to be used. So it's not like Microsoft can ban you because you're using a third-party controller. Because the company Afterglow, these guys, paid Microsoft the rights to use their controller. And oh crap. And because they paid the rights to use that controller, that's why Microsoft can't ban people who are using TurboFire controllers. Games can ban you for it, but you can what I'm looking for, contest it. You can contest the ban. So, if it was up to me, I'd say take that $400 and buy me a couple of old school consoles and games, or better yet, buy myself a nice 680 graphics card and a nice set of, an extra set of 16 gig of RAM, maybe throw in a nice little, 300-400 gig SSD hard drive and a copy of Battlefield 3 or Black Ops 2 and get some of the expansions, or just something like that, or because you'd get more out of it. You'd get more your money's worth out of it, because a lot of people keep saying, well, if I get the Xbox One, that means I can do this, I can do that, I can do the other. And like, no, you can't, because it's locked. The hardware is locked. Consoles, the Xbox 360 right now is still almost 7, 8, even 9 years old. A 9-year-old console. And I already know that there are several forums and several groups, as they like to call themselves, that are working on an Xbox 360 emulator for a PC. Why? Because a PC is powerful enough to emulate the 360. It is powerful enough to emulate the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, all these other consoles. Like, again, Super Nintendo. A single-core computer can emulate a Super Nintendo. So, PCs are not hardware locked for X amount of years, unlike a console. So, truth be told, you'd be actually better off. You would be better off getting computer hardware than you would getting a console. So, again, to answer the question, what do I think of the Xbox One? I think it's junk. I think Microsoft is trying to fling a dead horse, and it's not going to sell. No one's going to buy it. And those who do buy it are probably those who are collectors, and going to add it to their collection and let it gather dust, kind of like the Dreamcast. Sega, truthfully, let the Dreamcast die, which is kind of sad, because the Dreamcast, for its day, hardware-wise, was amazing. It can actually run arcade games, actual full arcade cabinet games, without any issues, any bugs, any flaws. It was the only console that arcade games actually got ported to and weren't modified in any way, shape, or form. So, Capcom vs SNK, for example, Street Fighter 3, those games weren't changed in any way. They weren't modified. They stayed the same, which is kind of pretty cool. So, when it comes down to it, if I had to get a console, if my life depended on getting a console, it'd have to be the PlayStation 4. I wouldn't mind paying $5 a month, because, again, supporting the companies, supporting the games manufacturers, but most of all, free-to-play games is free-to-play on a PlayStation 4. Not on a 360, not on the PlayStation 1. Plus, you get free games. If you have the PlayStation Network Plus, which is $5 and something, you get free games. Granted, they may not be AAA titles, they may just be indie games or whatnot, but you forget, Minecraft was an indie game. DayZ originally started off as an indie game. It started off as a mod for Arma, but it was an indie mod, if you know what I mean. There are such things as indie mods. Just Google indie mods, you'll find them. Let's say the fact that Star Wars Battlefront is originally going to be going to PlayStation 4 first. Another Smash Brothers, which is hitting the Nintendo, which is something I'm really looking forward to. The fact that they got the Wii Fit chick in it is kind of just weird, and yeah. Well, anyway, so it would have to be the PlayStation 4, simply because the whole fact I don't need an add-on thing like I did the 360 to play Blu-rays or anything, or DVDs. That's a big bonus to me. You can just take a Blu-ray, put it in a PlayStation 4, boom, or a PlayStation 3, boom, you're good. You're good to go. With the advent of everything being HD nowadays, and high definition cables being on every TV and everything and stuff. But then again, Sony is aiming for the gaming market. Microsoft is aiming for the entertainment market. They're going the way of the Philips CDI. And if you don't know what a Philips CDI is, again, Google. Philips, the company, made a gaming console called the Philips CDI. It used to play Laserdisc movies, CDs, and video games. So, it was kind of like the best of both worlds. And so guys, I am going to leave it here with a simple ending of, if I had a choice, it would definitely be the PlayStation 4 if I had to pick a console. Otherwise I'd take the cash, dump it into a PC, or take the cash and dump it into a hobby, dump it into something that you're eventually going to get your money back, whether it be in entertainment value, whether it be in monetary value. $500 for an Xbox One is, I might as well take five Benjamins and set them on fire. The fact that the PlayStation 4 is also cheaper than the Xbox One, again, it's game, set, match. So if I were you guys, I would leave the Xbox. You'll probably see in the next few weeks, coming up to November when the release date comes, a whole crap ton of Xbox 360s and whatnot going on eBay and Amazon and other places like that. So if you're that worried about, you know, wanting to get a console for your collections and stuff, again, eBay's not too bad, but you don't always necessarily find good deals on eBay. Go to your local game store that's a mum and pop owned. Don't bother going to Game Hub or anything like that, because they take a look at an N64 and they're like, I don't want that. Or they see a Super Nintendo and it's like, I don't want that. Well, guess what? As a child, ask your mum and dad. Okay, if you're 15, 16 right now watching this video, ask your mum and dad. Say, hey, mum, dad, was you a Mega Drive or a Genesis player, or was you a Super Nintendo player? And they will tell you so many stories of what consoles they played and the games they played and the hours that they burnt away sitting there at their TV with their volume turned down because they're supposed to have been in bed, and they didn't want their mum and dad to catch them, and you know. So that's what it's gonna be if you break it down. It's with these two consoles clashing, truth be told, I think PC is going to come out on tops on this. If AMD and Nvidia can get off their asses and stop trying to undercut us performance-wise, think about it. AMD did it a couple of months ago. They came out with this A8 processor that's, oh, it's the bee's knees, it's this, it's that. 2 months later, they come out with a processor that says, it destroys the A8 processor. Then why make the A8 processor? Why don't you just wait until you make this new, better processor? You know, have one, make it future-proof so it lasts at least 4 or 5 years. You know, then 4 or 5 years later, boom, another great big epic processor. Then boom, another great big epic processor. Instead of this whole every 2 months, and each new processor is apparently supposed to destroy the previous competition. No, I'm sorry. Again, I like to future-proof my machines. I didn't think FireWire ports would go anywhere, and they haven't. I didn't think that a Super USB, as it was going to be called, which is USB 4, USB 5, I believe, was going to go anywhere, and it didn't. Where did it go? Nowhere. So what do we have? We have USB 3. We have SSD hard drives. We have, you know, so if you can just look at the technological market, see where the wind's blowing, and jump on that bandwagon, you'll be good. You'll be future-proof. Motherboards, again, they need to keep up. Instead of every 2-3 months, this new chipset, that new chipset, it beats this, it beats that. Again, no. You can make an affordable motherboard that is future-proof and will still make your company money. I know you can. But they don't want to do that. They want to nickel and dime everyone, just like free-to-play games. They have a cash shop. They just want to nickel and dime you. So, guys, that's where I'm going to... Again, I said I was going to leave it before, but I am now. I'm going to take my kudos, and I'm going to play me some Primal Rage. So...